Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be creating some beautiful farmhouse Easter DIYs using items from Dollar Tree. I hope you find tons of inspiration and enjoy today's video. And if you haven't done so already, I would love for you to click that subscribe button right below the video, as well as the notification bell so you'll be notified when a new video is uploaded. Our first project, we're going to be using some of these wood slices from Dollar Tree. They're flat on both sides and they're cut at an angle. We're going to be using 16 pieces and you will have a few left over. Save those for a project later on in today's video. I'm using an acrylic paint in the color Spiced Pumpkin, and I originally was trying to be very careful and only paint the top of each of these pieces. Then I decided I was going to go ahead and paint the sides as well. Now you could stain the sides with a wood stain or an antique wax. That would be really beautiful also, but I decided to go with just one color all the way around. We're also going to be using this sign from Dollar Tree. It measures 5 3/4 of an inch by 15 3/4 of an inch. I'm going to remove that hanger because we don't need that. And I have 10 wood slices set out and then 6 on the other side. We're going to lay those 10 wood slices in the center of the sign and pushing the angles underneath the previous row. I'm trying to keep everything centered, and once you have everything in place, you can go back and use some hot glue to glue each one of these down. So it's going to start at 1 at the bottom and then go 2, 3, and then the last row will have 4. Then we'll take those other 6, we're going to set those on top of these in the same way, pushing those angles underneath the previous row. Again, once you have all of those lined up and placed where you want them, you can go back and hot glue each one down. If you haven't guessed already, we are making a beautiful farmhouse carrot sign. I'm using some of this greenery from Hobby Lobby. It has gorgeous details on it. I'm going to cut 3 stems from that bundle down. We're going to tuck those right at the very top center of the carrot and then use some hot glue to hold that in place. Then we're going to create a bow by using a 6-inch piece of dark burlap. This came from Walmart, and a 10-inch piece of plaid ribbon from Dollar Tree. I'm going to fold that over and gather it in the center. Then I'll gather the burlap in the center and we can place our plaid bow on top of our burlap. To hold them together, I'm going to use a piece of twine and tie that in the middle and double knot it. And then once we cut that excess twine off, we can hot glue our bow right to the top of our carrot and at the base of the greenery. I think this project turned out absolutely gorgeous, but I would love to know what you guys think. For our next project, we're using 2 natural wood slices. These came from Hobby Lobby in a bag, but Dollar Tree also sells these. When you pick them out, you kind of want to pick out one that has a semi-flat edge on it, and I did that for the larger and the smaller one. We're going to be placing that smaller one on the top, and I'm using a combination of Gorilla Glue for a nice permanent hold and some hot glue to hold that in place until the Gorilla Glue sets up. We are also going to be using those 2 wood slices that were left over in our previous project. Now I want them to be similar in size, so I'm going to cut that down, and I also want it to be flat on the bottom. So I'm using my handheld miter box and saw to cut those down flat. And we're going to be taking a piece of twine, now that our wood slices are dry, the glue has set up, just tying a simple bow in between the 2 pieces, and I added a little bit of glue to make sure it stays in place. We're going to take those other wood slices from Dollar Tree, we're going to place these at the top to make the cutest little wood bunny, and you're going to use the same thing, the combination of Gorilla Glue and hot glue. Now, I want mine to be able to set up on its own, so the piece that I cut off of that larger wood slice, I've glued to the back, and now it can stand freely. And to cover that up, you can use some of Dollar Tree's tiny pom-poms. I do end up taking those off because I found a larger one in my craft stash, and I replaced it with one larger pom-pom. But this is so beautiful and rustic, and I love how it turned out. For our next project, we're using 6 of Dollar Tree's mini wood carrots. I'm going to apply some antique wax to the top of each of the carrots using a Dollar Tree sponge brush and paint the base of each one with the acrylic paint in the color Spiced Pumpkin. Then we're going to use one of these tin bunnies. This came off of one of the larger signs from Dollar Tree. I'm going to carefully remove that bow and give it 2 coats of white chalk paint. Once that dries, I'm going to dry brush some antique wax around the entire outline to really bring that out and kind of give it a rustic look. Then tie a simple bow with a piece of twine. We're also going to be using one of these smaller signs from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to carefully remove that hanger, and then to remove those staples, I'm just using my heavy-duty staple lifter. I have that in my Amazon store in my description box below if you're interested in one of those. Then I'm going to apply some antique wax around the frame to make sure everything matches and blends, and I also got the outside edging. Now, once all of that dries, we're going to set our bunny right at the bottom in the center and then place 3 carrots on each side, stacking 1 in the center on the 2 at the bottom. Once you have everything placed where you want it, you can hot glue it down. Now, be very careful when you put that hot glue on that tin metal bunny because it gets pretty hot. Then I'm going to create a very simple bow using a 12-inch piece of buffalo check ribbon, just by folding that over and tying it in the center with a piece of twine. Now, I get this ribbon from Amazon, and I have that listed in my Amazon store below in my description box. It comes on a big spool, and it has lasted me so long. Now I'm going to place a couple of pieces of greenery. These came from Hobby Lobby, and then we could put our bow right in the center, and this is absolutely precious. Using one of these Dollar Tree egg signs and a self-adhesive wall tile, I actually found this one at Family Dollar for $1. This was probably last year. I'm going to trace that out in the diagonal of the self-adhesive wall tile because I want the design to lay out that way. When you cut it, the self-adhesive part comes off, so I'm going to glue this to the back of the sign and then go around all of the edging in any of the pieces that didn't get glued down. I'll hot glue those. Then I'm going to paint it with 2 coats of white chalk paint. I also painted the outside edges, especially where some of the pieces are lifted up from the sign, to blend that in. Once the paint dries, I'm going to take some antique wax, a Dollar Tree sponge brush, and very, very gently go over all of the raised portions of that self-adhesive wall tile. You barely have to touch it. This is going to give it such a beautiful rustic look. Then we're going to take some nautical rope from Dollar Tree and hot glue that around the outside edge of our sign. And I'm just doing this in small sections and making sure that I push it very closely to the edge of the sign. Now, you can put a hanger on the back of this, but you can also use one of Dollar Tree's small easels. It sits perfectly on there and it matches perfectly. Our next project is very, very simple and it turns out gorgeous. I'm using one of these signs from Dollar Tree. I'm going to paint the frame with one coat of black chalk paint on all sides, including the back, and then using this beautiful sign from Dollar Tree, and I love the details on this. I'm going to trace out the backing of our frame, and using a utility knife or a box cutter, you'll want to score the lines that you traced out about 4 times, and then you kind of wiggle it back and forth and it will snap off perfectly. We're going to do that for all 4 sides. And then we can place this back into our frame. We don't even need to put the backing back in. This was so simple, but turns out absolutely gorgeous. We're going to be using some of these Dollar Tree wood bunnies. They come in a pack of 12. You'll actually need 11 for this, and I am using some of Dollar Tree's stickers. I'm going to place one on the center of each of the bunnies to spell out Happy Easter. Now, they stuck pretty good, but you could go over it with a little bit of Mod Podge if you need to. Then using one of Dollar Tree's farmhouse signs, this one measures 15 3/4 of an inch by 5 3/4 of an inch. We're going to place our bunnies on there, and I'm kind of trying to space them out where the happy will kind of go in the center of each of the bunnies for the Easter portion. Once you have everything lined up, just go back and place a little bit of hot glue underneath each of those bunnies. This, again, was a very simple project, but I love, love, love how it turned out. It is so beautiful. Using 2 of Dollar Tree's egg signs as well as one of their bunnies, they are already pre-painted white and they have this gorgeous wood grain on the top of them. I'm using a Dollar Tree chip brush and some antique wax, and I'm going to go around all of the edging of the outline of the bunny as well as both of the eggs. And you can skip this part if you don't want the distressed look, but I think it just really gives it that gorgeous farmhouse feel and really brings out the outline of each of these. I'm going to take a 5-inch piece of dark burlap and a piece of buffalo check ribbon. I'm just going to overlap that in the center, pull the tails down, and then gather that burlap in the back. We're going to attach these together using a piece of twine and double knotting that on the back. Then I'll cut that excess twine off, and I'm going to dovetail the ends of each of the buffalo check ribbon by just folding that in half and cutting it at an angle. We'll do that for both of the tails, and then we're going to take 4 of Dollar Tree's tumbling tower pieces, and I'm going to paint the outside edges with white chalk paint. You don't need to paint the larger part on the top and the bottom, just the outside edges. We're going to use 2 of these signs from Dollar Tree, and I already love that it has this faux wood grain on the outside. I'm going to remove the hangers from the center, and we're going to glue the 2 of these together end to end. Then I'm going to take that same chip brush and some antique wax and go around all of the edging on the outside and in the middle where the 2 signs meet to help blend that in better so it doesn't look like 2 separate signs. It now looks like one. We're going to be placing an egg in each of the signs, and then the bunny's going to sit on the top in the center. So I'm going to place those down inside of the signs, line everything up, and then we can take our tumbling tower pieces. We're going to glue one under each of the ears and one on the back side of each of the feet. Then we can place our hot glue on our tumbling tower pieces and place that directly on top of the eggs. Now that we have everything lined up, we'll go back in and hot glue each of those eggs to the inside of the sign. Now, here I discovered, wow, I didn't even fill those holes in, so you may want to do that before you even put everything together. I'm going to go back and just add some hot glue and then wipe that so that it'll be flat. And then I'm going to touch it up with a little bit of paint. Now, my paint is not the exact color of the sign, so once that paint dries, I'm going to take that antique wax, go back over and kind of blend that in so it is not as noticeable. Now we can take our bow that we previously made and glue that to the bunny. And you can decorate this in so many ways. I'm actually going to put some Spanish moss inside of each of the signs and then use some of Dollar Tree's smaller twine-wrapped carrots and place 3 on each side. You can glue these in, but mine's set up perfectly. And I think this is absolutely gorgeous, and it is a very large piece. I've got a little bonus project for you guys. It's not really farmhouse, but it turns out super cute. Using one of Dollar Tree's wreath rails, we're going to paint this with 2 coats of white chalk paint, and using some scrapbook paper from Hobby Lobby, I'm going to trace just the bunny portion out. Then we can cut that out, and we're going to attach it to our bunny using a layer of Mod Podge. Then we're going to press that down nice and even, make sure everything is adhered well. We'll set it to the side and let it dry. Now I'm going to place out 2 pieces of tape, sticky side up, and then we'll tape that down. I'm taping it to my silicone mat so that I can place 11 of Dollar Tree's wooden eggs, and I'll be able to paint each one of these very easily without them moving around. Now I wanted everything to be a nice pastel color, so I'm mixing each one of my paints with white paint to kind of mute it down. The first 3, I mixed a cameo pink with white, and I gave that 2 coats, then let it dry, flip it over, and I'm painting both sides. For the next 2, I'm going to mix in some violet with white paint, and again, I'll just paint those, and I'm also painting all of the outside edging as well. I'm using my hairdryer to kind of speed up the drying process so I'll be able to flip each of those over and paint the back side. The next 2, I am going to mix in a color called Daybreak Yellow with the white paint. And then the next 2, I mixed in a bright blue with the white. And the final 2, I mixed in a holly branch green with white. Now, once all of those are dry, I've already laid them out in alternating colors, and I'm going to use these white stickers with the black outline from Dollar Tree to spell out Happy Easter. Then I'm going to take some Mod Podge and go over each one of those to seal those in because those letters really didn't want to stick too well, so I want to make sure they don't come off. Once that Mod Podge dries, I'm going to take 2 pieces of twine, and I'm going to glue each of those eggs in the center on the back to each of the twine to spell out Happy Easter. Then to give it some added security, I'm going to flip that over and add some hot glue to the back right on top of the twine. Then we're going to take our wreath rail. We're going to tie the twine to the bottom part of the wreath rail. So originally I wanted both of them to kind of dangle from the sign, but it wasn't quite working out that way. You probably need to glue the twine closer to the top of the back of each of the eggs because each time you pick it up, the eggs flip around. So I decided to go back and hot glue each of the eggs right to the bottom of the rail, just at the very top. And then for the Easter part, I decided to go ahead and glue the twine on the back side of the outside of the rails in hopes that it was going to dangle like I wanted it to. It still doesn't. It flips around, and I'll show you how I fix it in just a minute. So once I get those glued down and cut that excess twine off, I'm going to create a hanger at the top for the bunny just by creating a little loop. I'm going to glue that down and put a piece of ribbon on there to give it some added security. Now it's really cute just like it is, But I wanted to take some of these Dollar Tree gingham fabric bunnies. They are so pretty. I'm going to glue these to the rail, and I'm going to put a purple one on each of the outside edges. Then I'll put a blue one, and then we'll put another purple one right in the middle. So each time I pick this up, that little Easter at the bottom, like I told you, it'll flip around so all you see is the back. So to fix that, I'm going to glue each of the bottom eggs to the top eggs just by adding a little bit of glue to the outside edge. And then in between, I'll just kind of alternate them by adding the tiniest bit of glue. Then to give it a little extra cuteness, I'm going to take some of Dollar Tree's mini pom-poms and glue those on all of the fabric bunnies for tails. And this turned out super cute, and I love the colors in it. I'd love to know what you guys think. I hope you enjoyed today's video, found tons of inspiration, and if you have a favorite, let me know in the comment section down below. I always love to know which one is your favorite. Thank you so much for spending time with me today. Please take care, and I will see you guys next time.